I created my dating profile on a Sunday night because loneliness feels louder on weekends. My apartment was quiet, the kind of quiet where you start noticing the refrigerator hum and your own breathing. I wasn't desperate, at least that's what I told myself. I just wanted conversation. Someone normal. Someone safe. I uploaded 3 photos, nothing revealing, and wrote a bio that said I loved books, rainy days, and bad horror movies. Within minutes, the app began buzzing. Most messages were generic. Then one stood out. His name was Evan. Evan's first message wasn't a pickup line. It was a question. Do you still live on Cedar Ridge Drive, or did you move? I stared at my screen, confused. Cedar Ridge Drive was my old address, 2 apartments ago. I assumed it was a coincidence or a glitch. I replied carefully, joking that he must be psychic. He responded immediately. Sorry. That was creepy. I meant Cedar Ridge Road. My mistake. There was no Cedar Ridge Road in my city. Still, he laughed it off, sent a smiling emoji, and changed the subject. Over the next few days, Evan seemed attentive. He remembered tiny details. My favorite coffee order. The name of my childhood dog. The fact that I hated phone calls. I assumed he was just a good listener. When I asked what he did for work, he said cybersecurity consulting. That explained the sharp memory, I thought. We moved our conversation off the app and onto text. That's when things began to feel off. Evan replied instantly, no matter the hour. 2:13 a.m. 5:47 a.m. Always there. Always watching. One night, I fell asleep mid-conversation. When I woke up, there were 12 messages waiting. They weren't angry. They were worried. You okay? Did something happen? I hope you're safe. The last one made my stomach tighten. Your bedroom light was on earlier. I reread it 3 times. I typed back that he must be mistaken. Evan apologized again, said he confused me with someone else. But the damage was done. I started noticing things. My Instagram stories getting viewed within seconds. My LinkedIn profile suddenly getting a new anonymous view. I Googled Evan's phone number. Nothing. No records. No scam alerts. No name. When I asked for his last name, he dodged the question. Said he preferred to keep some mystery. I joked that mystery was how horror movies start. He replied, only if you ignore the warning signs. That night, my Wi-Fi disconnected for exactly 5 minutes. When it came back, my smart TV turned on by itself. Netflix opened. A show I'd mentioned liking, to Evan, was already queued up. I unplugged the TV and sat in silence, heart racing. My phone buzzed. Did your internet flicker just now? Evan asked. I didn't respond. 5 minutes passed. Then another text. I'm sorry. That was too much. Too much. I blocked his number. The relief was immediate, but brief. My phone rang. Private number. I declined. It rang again. Voicemail followed. Evan's voice sounded calm. Almost gentle. Blocking me won't protect you. I just want to talk. I barely slept. At sunrise, I checked my email. There was a new message from an unfamiliar address. Subject line, good morning. The body contained a photo. It was my front door, taken from the hallway. I called the police. They were polite, but skeptical. Online harassment cases rarely moved fast. They told me to change passwords, update security, stay with a friend if possible. When I returned from the station, something was wrong. My doorframe had fresh scratches, tiny, like someone testing a lock with a thin blade. I packed a bag and went to my sister's house across town. I didn't tell her everything, just enough to justify staying over. That night, Evan texted from a new number. You forgot your blue scarf. I hadn't told him I owned a blue scarf. Panic crawled into my chest. I blocked the number. Another appeared. Then another. Each message more personal. More invasive. Your sister's house is colder than your place. Her neighbor leaves for work at 6:10. I felt like prey. The next morning, my sister found something taped to her front door. A printed screenshot of my dating profile. My name circled in red. At the bottom, handwritten, she deserves honesty. Police took it seriously this time. They traced the email. The IP address pointed to a public library, one I used to visit every Saturday. The officer asked if I'd ever met Evan in person. I said no. He exchanged a look with his partner. That's good, he said, because we don't think Evan is his real name. Days passed. No messages. No calls. I started breathing again. I returned to my apartment with a new lock, a security camera, and the naive hope that it was over. That hope died quickly. My camera alert went off at 2:36 a.m. motion detected. I opened the app. The hallway camera showed a man standing inches from my door, face covered by a hood. He raised his phone, took a picture, then knocked once. Softly, politely, like a neighbor. I didn't answer. I didn't move. After a full minute, he leaned closer to the camera, slowly pulled down his hood. I recognized him instantly. His face was blurred, pixelated, like a corrupted video file. The camera struggled to focus, distortion rippling across his features. He smiled anyway. My phone buzzed. You look just like your pictures, Evan texted. The hallway camera went dark. Police arrived 20 minutes later. No sign of him. No fingerprints. No usable footage. They asked if I'd ever shared my location online, tagged cafes, posted check-ins, mentioned routines. I had. We all do. That night, I deleted every dating app, every social account, changed my number, moved apartments again, this time out of state. I tried to forget. 3 months later, I received a letter. No return address. Inside was a single printed photo. The photo showed my new building, taken from across the street. On the back, 3 words were written carefully. New city. Same you. I never joined another dating app. I still don't know how much of my life he mapped before I ever said hello. I just know this. Some matches don't end when you unmatch. Some people don't swipe for love. They swipe to hunt. I joined the dating app after my divorce finalized, not because I was ready, but because silence felt heavier than disappointment. Everyone said dating apps were easier than meeting people in real life. Less awkward. More control. You swipe, you choose, you disconnect. That illusion of control is what pulled me in. I uploaded photos taken months earlier, filled out the basics, and promised myself I wouldn't get attached. That promise lasted exactly 1 day. That's when I matched with Caleb. Caleb's profile was normal, almost too normal. Software analyst, 34, lived 2 towns over. His photos showed a polite smile, nothing flashy. His first message was simple. Hey, we've actually met before. I frowned. I didn't recognize him. I told him that politely. He replied, that's okay. You probably wouldn't remember. That should have been my cue to unmatch. Instead, curiosity won. I asked where we'd met. He said, at a place where you weren't expecting company. I laughed it off, assuming it was a joke. Over the next few days, Caleb was charming, patient, funny in a quiet way. He didn't push for photos or calls. He asked thoughtful questions about my job, my habits, my sleep schedule. I told him I was a light sleeper. He replied, that makes sense. Something about that response felt off, but I ignored it. People say weird things online all the time. One night, he sent me a message at 11:58 p.m. "You're still awake." I asked how he knew. Lucky guess, he said. A week later, he sent a photo. Not of himself, of a street corner. Recognize this? He asked. It was the intersection near my apartment. I told him yes and asked why. He said he used to drive through there for work. I noticed something in the photo then, a reflection in a car window. A man holding a phone, taking the picture. I asked when the photo was taken. Tonight, he replied. My stomach dropped. I told him that wasn't funny. He apologized immediately, said he pulled the image from Google Maps. When I checked, the image wasn't there. I considered blocking him. Instead, I asked directly if he was watching me. His response came slowly this time. I wouldn't call it watching, he wrote. More like noticing. That night, I dreamed someone was standing in my hallway, breathing quietly. I woke up to a notification. Caleb had sent another message. Bad dreams. I didn't respond. I muted the app and tried to sleep again. At 3:14 a.m., my phone vibrated anyway. New message. You left your kitchen light on. I got up and checked. The kitchen light was on. I was sure I'd turned it off. My hand shook as I typed back, demanding to know how he knew that. His reply was immediate. Because you always forget. That was true. I did. But I had never mentioned it. The next morning, I called my best friend and told her everything. She told me to block him. I did. The sense of relief lasted until lunchtime. That's when I received an email. No subject line. The message body contained a list. The list was titled Things You Don't Lock. It included my back window, my bathroom vent, my mailbox. At the bottom, one line stood out, bedroom door, when you're alone. I felt sick. I called the police. They took a report, asked if anything was missing. Nothing was. There were no signs of forced entry. No fingerprints. They suggested online harassment again. Suggested I stay somewhere else for a while. I packed a bag and went to a hotel downtown that night. The hotel room felt safer. Higher floor. Keycard access. I locked the door twice and pushed a chair against it like I was in a bad movie. I finally slept. At 6:22 a.m., my phone buzzed. Hotel beds hurt your back, Caleb messaged, from a new number. I froze. I hadn't told anyone where I was. I hadn't posted. I hadn't checked in. Another message followed. You should ask for extra pillows. I threw the phone across the room. I checked out immediately and drove straight to my parents' house in another state. I didn't sleep much during the drive. Every car behind me felt suspicious. When I arrived, I felt stupid for being scared, but also safer than I had in weeks. That night, my dad mentioned someone had come by earlier asking about me. Said he was an old friend from work. Polite. Well-dressed. Left when told I didn't live there anymore. I didn't tell my parents the truth. I just nodded and went to bed. I woke up to knocking. Soft. Measured. 3 taps. My heart pounded. My parents were asleep. I checked my phone. 1 unread message. I told you we met before. The knocking came again. I didn't move. After a minute, it stopped. My phone buzzed. I don't like scaring you, but you don't listen unless I'm close. I called 911 with shaking hands. By the time officers arrived, no one was there. No footprints. No witnesses. Just tire marks near the curb. Days passed. Then weeks. Nothing happened. I started to believe he'd moved on. I returned home eventually, changed my locks, installed cameras. I tried to reclaim my life. One evening, my dating app sent a notification. You have a new match. I hadn't reopened the app. The profile photo was black. The name was still here. The bio contained one sentence. You never asked how we met. Against every instinct, I asked. The reply came instantly. I was inside your apartment the night before we matched. My chest tightened. You were crying, he continued. I wanted to see who you really were before saying hello. I dropped the phone. Security camera alerts began firing. Front door, back door, hallway. When I opened the feed, I saw him standing inside my living room. Calm. Smiling. Holding my phone charger. The footage cut out. Police arrived too late. No sign of entry. No sign of him. They told me the cameras must have glitched. I showed them the messages. They asked how someone could be inside without breaking in. I didn't have an answer. I moved again. Different city. Different name online. No dating apps. No public profiles. I live quietly now. Carefully. Last week, someone matched with my old profile, the one I never deleted. The message read, "You're better at hiding now." That's progress. Some people use dating apps to find love. Others use them to find doors. And once someone knows how to get inside your life, they never really leave. I didn't meet him because I was looking for love. I met him because I couldn't sleep. At 1:47 a.m., scrolling feels safer than thinking. I downloaded the dating app out of boredom, telling myself I'd delete it by morning. I used an old email, a nickname instead of my real name, and photos cropped so carefully they barely felt like me. My bio was vague, non-committal, just seeing what's out there. Within minutes, I got a match. His username was active now. His profile picture was blank. No photo, just a grey silhouette. I almost unmatched immediately, but then his message came through. You're up late again. I frowned. I asked what he meant. "You always are," he replied. That should have ended it. Instead, I assumed it was a generic line. I asked how long he'd been on the app. "Longer than you," he said, "but not as long as you think." His replies came instantly, like he never had to read, only send. We talked. Or at least, I talked. He asked questions that felt oddly specific. Did I still drink water before bed? Did my upstairs neighbor still pace around midnight? I joked that he sounded like a stalker. "Only if I didn't have permission," he replied. I laughed it off, but unease settled in my chest. I asked for a picture. He sent one. It wasn't a selfie. It was my living room, taken from the hallway. The timestamp read 3 minutes earlier. I dropped my phone and stood up, heart pounding. I checked the locks. Door locked. Windows shut. No sign of anyone. I grabbed my phone again. "That's not funny," I typed. "I know," he replied. "That's why I didn't joke." I blocked him immediately. My hand shook as I did it. I deleted the app, deleted the account, turned my phone off. I barely slept. When I woke up, my phone was back on. There were no missed calls, no notifications, just one thing that made my stomach drop. The dating app was reinstalled. Still logged in. Still matched. A new message waited. "You can't block what's already inside." I called in sick to work and sat on my couch all day, curtains drawn. I kept replaying every moment, trying to remember if I'd ever shared my password. My email showed no login alerts. Nothing made sense. That evening, I noticed something else. My laptop webcam light flickered on, then off. I hadn't opened anything. I slammed the laptop shut and covered it with a towel like that would help. My phone buzzed. "You should update your drivers," he messaged. "Your camera lags." I screamed. I don't remember deciding to leave, only grabbing my keys and running. I drove to a 24-hour grocery store and sat in the parking lot, watching the entrance like a paranoid animal. My phone buzzed again. "You forgot your charger," he said. I hadn't told him where I was. I checked the app. His profile had changed. The silhouette was gone. In its place was a photo of my car, taken from behind. License plate visible. I called the police. They came. Took statements. Checked my apartment. Found nothing. No signs of forced entry. No hidden cameras. No fingerprints. They suggested malware. Suggested I'd been hacked. I hired a technician the next day. He wiped everything. Phone. Laptop. Router. Changed passwords. New email. New number. He told me whatever it was gone. That night, I slept for the first time in days. At 3:03 a.m., my TV turned on by itself. A familiar app interface filled the screen. My dating profile. Still active. A message appeared in the chat window, typed live. "This is harder when you resist," the message read. I unplugged the TV. The message continued typing anyway, letters appearing over black. "I've been with you longer than you remember." Memories surfaced then, things I'd ignored. Strange battery drains. Apps I didn't recall installing. A laptop I'd bought refurbished years ago. A phone number I'd recycled. "You didn't meet me on the app," he continued. "The app met you for me." I fled again. Different city. Cash payments. No smart devices. I bought a flip phone. I felt ridiculous, but alive. Months passed. Nothing happened. I started to believe I had escaped. Then one night, in a diner off the highway, I saw it. A familiar interface on the TV behind the counter. The dating app logo, briefly, before switching channels. My phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. "You're better offline," the text read. "But the world isn't." I realized then the truth I'd been avoiding. He wasn't a man. He wasn't following me. He wasn't breaking in. He was already there, woven through old accounts, forgotten permissions, devices I trusted without thinking. I smashed the phone, left it on the table, walked away. I don't use apps now. I don't keep photos online. I don't log in unless I have to. Last week, a coworker showed me a dating app on her phone, asked if I recognized the interface. I did. She said she'd matched with someone interesting. Username, active now. I told her to delete it. She laughed. Her phone buzzed. Her smile faded. "That's weird," she said. It says he's been logged in since before I downloaded the app. Some people think online dating horror stories are about strangers. They are not. They're about access. About the quiet ways we invite things into our lives and forget they're there. Because some profiles don't belong to people. Some never log out. And some are just waiting for the next match. If you've ever used a dating app, this video wasn't just entertainment. Some of these stories are still unfolding, and the next one could be yours. Before you swipe again, like and subscribe now, turn on notifications, and drop a comment saying I'm safe. Because the scariest stories aren't the ones you watch. They're the ones that start after the screen goes dark.